This assignment has helped me think all the way back to when I was growing up, because I began to wonder, when did I realize I was Mexican American? Or by when did I embrace that I was Mexican and just born here in the US? Growing up, I believe my surroundings or peers influenced my thoughts about my race or the way I identified myself. Growing up, it was the cool thing to listen to English music, watch English TV shows, and want to be like the typical Americans that were on television. Speaking Spanish and listening to Spanish music was seen as low class, or you were looked at as something less. Even as a child, it was very important to my parents that I learned how to speak English, because that was part of the American dream. When I was in kindergarten, I was placed in a Spanish speaking classroom, and that happened again in first grade. My parents were not having that, so I was moved into an all English classroom, which is where I began to really develop the English language. It was a big deal to them because they came from a small port town in Mexico called San Antonio, Michoacan. They came here to have an opportunity for a better job and to provide us with a better future. In their eyes, being American and adapting to the race and culture was important. In their experience, people who were white and spoke English had a better job and life. So growing up, I always considered myself American because all my surroundings influenced me to think that way. Then, as I got older, things began to change because I began to learn about all the hardships my parents faced while coming to California. So I decided I wanted to learn more about our culture, wanted to learn about the different things it had to offer. Once I began to visit my parents' hometown and began to see all the different traditions and spectacular places they had, made me feel proud being part of those roots. I began to appreciate and enjoy typical regional music, wanted to see folklore dancing. I wanted to try different foods. I wanted to adapt to the culture. I wanted to embrace all the things their culture, their race had to offer. I would not say anymore, I'm from Los Angeles. I would say I was born in Los Angeles, but I am Mexican. Now that I am older, I enjoy both races, and I find it spectacular to be able to identify myself as Mexican American. One of my favorite quotes that I feel fits me is from the movie Selena, which says, "We got to prove to the Mexicans how Mexican we are, and we got to prove to the Americans how Americans we are. We got to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, both at the same time. It's exhausting. Nobody knows how tough it is to be Mexican American." That quote resonates with me because when you go to Mexico, people look at you differently even though you speak Spanish because your accent is different. So it's difficult also to even try to adapt when you're there. Right away, they notice, hey, this person is not originally from Mexico or lives in Mexico. So, in a way, you have to prove and adapt to that situation when you're there. So, it makes it seem like you're from two different cultures. However, it is wonderful to be part of two different races and cultures. And now I believe both cultures have merged together and have provided us with a wealth of experiences. So that is how I feel about my race. And I think the culture has also played a big deal in being able to identify with my roots and my race and just wanting to know about the different things that encompasses my parents' country, which is now also my country.